This is the Final Whistle podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of the Final Whistle podcast. I'm your host Frankie Levin and today I'm joined by Sam Smith.
How you doing, you alright?
Jacob Pannons.
Evening.
And Alex Robertson, who you guys may know from an earlier podcast is the guy that supports two clubs.
Which two clubs are they?
Liverpool and Man U, I believe.
And Leicester, Eastbourne Town.
Today we're going to be taking a look back at our predictions from the start of the season and then we're going to be going for our own little award ceremony from this season. Right lads, so Premier League season's over now. Did you guys enjoy this season? Do you think it was a good one from like a neutral perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was like the title race got boring in the end because it wasn't really a title race. It was more just because obviously Liverpool would usually play before Man City. It was like Liverpool going top, the table's changing a lot, but it wasn't. It was literally because
that's why it was a title
Liverpool.
race.
But no, it wasn't because Liverpool would always play first, but Man City would always win after.
Man City had to
technically, Alex
Man
has got
City,
a point. It was a title race because they carried on changing, but at the end of the day,
they didn't keep changing. Fair play to them for keeping it up.
Yeah, but it would change because they played first. They would go top, and then Man City had a game hand, so they would go top.
You had all these.
It was I agree with you. It was a title race. It was just boring because we always knew Man City were going to end up on top. Like nobody.
Did we though?
Surprised.
Did we really?
There was one period where I thought Liverpool were going to finish on top, and even Matt Watkinson, who is a Liverpool fan, he was like, "We're going to choke," and then they drew against us, and then at the second they went top and looked clear, they just absolutely crumbled, and they never looked the same side. They looked more comfortable in second than they did in first. They panicked when they were in first. When it was their title to lose, they completely crumbled.
But they drew to Leicester, they drew to West Ham, and they only lost one game to City.
What were they? Crumbling. 10 points, 8 points ahead of City at one point in the season.
They drew a lot against the teams around them who Man City were thrashing. They drew with Chelsea. Liverpool drew with Chelsea, and then they drew with with Arsenal, West Ham. They were drawing with teams that Man City were going to go to and win 2-0.
But if you look at it overall, Liverpool have gone the whole season losing one game, and that was to the champions. City lost to the likes of Newcastle. They lost to Crystal Palace. Do you not feel like Leicester? Do you not feel like this was Liverpool's title to lose? In fact,
I thought it was. I mean, there was that point. I can't remember exactly. Was it 8 points?
They were 7 points clear around.
7 points.
They were 7 points clear going into January, and then played Man City. And if they'd have beaten Man City that day, they would have gone 10 points clear. That would have been it. But Man City won that game, and it reduced it to 4 points. But
I mean, that's what I mean. It was their they were in the driver's seat, being 7 points ahead. And what were they, top at Christmas?
Yeah.
You're in the driver's seat at that point. It's your title to lose. They were so many points ahead. If they'd kept it up, and everyone's saying, "Oh, they only lost one game." Where fair enough, they've only lost one game against arguably
Is it
the
someone's
best
title
side.
to lose 6 months before the title was decided, though?
No, but when you're in the driver's seat and when you're playing with such vigour and like the way Liverpool were playing, they were the team. At that point, Man City were all over the shop. They had lost against Leicester and Newcastle, very close to one another. It sort of looked like this is, everything was working in Liverpool's favour. And although it was very far in advance, all Liverpool had to do was keep it up. And they had that
They
period
got
of
97 points,
Yeah,
Jacob.
No. Listen to me. I'm just saying. Yeah, we can talk about individually, but this isn't a league where we just look at teams separately, like individually. We look at them collectively. They got 97 points. They finished second. Let's just say they finished second, okay? Because let's not do a Chris Kane and say, oh, Tottenham would have won the league in 9 other years or whatever. But they didn't, because they didn't get that many points in that other years. If we're looking at the league table, Liverpool finished second, and that's a fact. I feel really bad for them because they performed so well, they deserve some sort of trophy. And if I was a Liverpool fan and they lost the Champions League final to Spurs, I'd be livid.
It really annoys me when people say Liverpool bottled the league because they didn't.
I wouldn't say they bottled it, but they crumbled. The second they got that pressure, the second they became the undisputed top spot, they lost momentum. At West Ham, they
Not
went.
I think it says a lot about how good Liverpool were that we're saying Liverpool crumbled when they were still picking up points.
In December, they won every single Premier League game that they played. That was like seven matches.
But that's what I mean. We're all saying, oh, they only lost once, but those draws are so you're losing at 2 points every time.
Yeah, but it's
you draw.
difficult to keep
In most other Premier
momentum
League
going
seasons, that was
in the
enough,
Premier
though.
League.
Can you
stop doing a Chris K? I just said it doesn't matter. We're talking about last season. We're talking about right now, the 1920 season, the 18-20 season.
When you're trying to, obviously most managers I know and I speak to, they say like they will target a certain amount of points, and if you're still picking up points, you're doing well.
Yeah.
97 points. I know you're saying they didn't win the league, so there wasn't enough points, but 97 points is a hell of a lot of points.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I just said it's unbelievable how many points they got, and they should have won something this season, but they didn't.
If Jurgen Klopp is sitting there in December going, look lads, we're going to get 97 points at the end of the season, most of them are going to sit in there and go, give us the league title right now.
Yeah, it's just a testament.
I understand that. I understand that you can't be too critical of them because they did almost everything they could do, but there was that period where everyone said, Liverpool, they drew so many games and that was so vital. And then they picked up after that, but they got a little bit of pressure and they did sink. And I remember after the West Ham game, James Milner was asked, oh, are you worried? And he's like, we're top at Christmas. Why would I worry? We're top going into January. Why am I worried? But we all kind of were like, Man City's going to come back.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a criticism of Liverpool. It's more of praise towards Man City of how well Man City did. But there was a period where everyone was kind of like, look at Liverpool, they're all going to, they were 5 points ahead after West Ham, I think. And we were all like, oh, well, Liverpool, Man City are going to come back. And James Milner, journalists were asking questions about Man City coming back because we could all see it coming. I'm not criticising Liverpool, I'm more praising Man City. But at the same time, they did draw some very vital games.
Let's move away from the top two a little bit and look at our predictions. Who was the most successful? Who got the most? I'm going to hang my head in shame. I only got 2.
Alex got 5, didn't he?
Alex got
3. I got 5.
Alex got 5. That's pretty decent.
I got 4.
You got 4.
I actually got quite a lot. We're only about 1, 2, 3 places away from.
Yeah.
I think it was mainly Fulham and Watford that let me down. I had Fulham in 12th and Watford coming 17th.
What about you, Jacob?
I got 4 right, but yeah, like Sam, I had only 2 or 3 teams that were outside of 3 places.
What were the ones you got correct?
Man City and Liverpool 1st and 2nd. I had Tottenham 4th and I had Brighton 17th.
Okay, what about you, Alex? Because you got 5, so...
I got top and bottom, so City, Huddersfield. I got Burnley as well.
Random one.
15th. I got Everton in 8th and Spurs in 4th.
What about you, Sam?
Obviously had the City Liverpool, which I think we all got apart from one person.
I don't know, who was that? Someone put Arsenal second, I don't know who.
I got United.
I had Leicester 9th and a 16th Southampton.
So all in all, it is pretty hard to predict the season, but ultimately we all guessed the winner, which was pretty expected, but probably not in the circumstances that it happened. Any surprise ones that you had in there?
I'd also like to say that I had Mourinho gone by Christmas.
You did call that. That's a good shout.
I'm not giving you any praise for that.
That's a good shout.
Everybody had Mourinho gone at Christmas.
A lot of people were saying it, but we'll give you it.
I had one bloke from Vavel and he was like, oh yeah, predicted this. Like, you're not psychic. What were the odds on him leaving before Christmas in his 3rd season?
I think people have kind of forgot around December that it was kind of brewing in pre-season when he slated the pre-season tour.
Yeah.
I remember our first one here, we were talking about Mourinho memes, and now he was like showing up to press conferences with like messy hair, and he just looked like completely.
Yeah.
a shell of his former self. Like it was coming. We could see it from about 9 months before the actual sack.
Who did we have for cup competitions?
Cup competitions. I was sort of really torn with this. I had Carabao Cup Chelsea because I thought Chelsea aren't going to win the league, so they're going to go for a cup. And I had FA Cup Liverpool because I thought Liverpool weren't going to win the Premier League, so we'll pick up silverware, which they're kind of doing with the Champions League. And then that's what I had. And then Son of the season, Alisson.
What about Champions League prediction? Did you have one for those?
Atletico Madrid.
Atletico Madrid. I had PSG.
Based on Atletico's summer when they had a really good summer. They kept Griezmann. They signed Thomas Lemar, those kind of players, and I thought they'd give it a good go, and obviously they didn't.
New stadium. Yeah.
I think I predicted Barcelona, but just because I thought it could be anyone's shout. And
I mean, honestly,
Barcelona, you got a 1 in 3 chance.
No one would have guessed Liverpool Spurs final. No one. Unless you did, Alex.
Well, he's a Spurs fan now.
He wins the Champions League either way, doesn't he?
What a good life.
But yeah, those were our predictions. We're pretty average, to be honest. Nothing stand out for us there.
Well, how about we talk about the teams we got wildly wrong?
I mean, I had Watford to go down in 18th.
17th.
And they were challenging top 7 for majority of the season and are in an FA Cup final. So that's pretty poor.
That are worse than Watford.
Well, thanks to Alex.
I remember at the start of the season, we had the podcast where we really slated Watford, didn't we? And we were saying they haven't done anything this summer. They've sold a lot of players. I didn't really like having Gracia. I thought that was just a
weird one.
That was a weird appointment, and it just seemed like they were just a bit naff. But they've done really well. They've had their best ever Premier League season. They've got
to be honest, that's like Watford. Watford will just bring in a random Spanish or Italian bloke, and sometimes it works off. Like sometimes it pulls off.
Mate.
But I mean,
sorry,
that's what I mean. Like, it's only. I mean, with Watford, I think we can all see it that in the next 10 years, are they going to get relegated once? Probably. I mean, with the way managers coming in and out, it's like teams like Bournemouth and Southampton. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
They're running off fumes at this point.
You could look at most of the bottom clubs from 10th to obviously 17th, because the bottom 3 went down. But you can look at those teams and say, like, look, they probably spend some time in the Championship at some point over the next decade.
A lot of them, it's sort of like they put everything on the line. Like Watford put a lot on the line in terms of managers, but like Crystal Palace are in a similar position, like in the league. But I feel like the structure is a lot more consistent. That like Crystal Palace almost guaranteed and West Ham was guaranteed that, because we're not gambling as much. But Watford every season is a gamble. Same with Bournemouth.
I think we all had Cardiff and Huddersfield to go down. That's pretty obvious. And if the only one that I said before was Arsenal second, which was a bit of a poor one from me, to be honest.
How do you assess Arsenal's season then?
I think it's been an okay season. They're in a Europa League final.
What made you
just
go for second place?
Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. I thought Emery's a good manager, but probably a few. I don't know, Alice.
there was a kind of such a lack of expectation at Arsenal that I can see why a lot of people might have thought they do a lot better, because they kind of go under the radar for the first few months of the season. They had that really good run, didn't they? They went unbeaten for about 20 games at the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
And they looked really good, but they kind of tailed off towards the end. And I think that's just kind of their summer. They didn't really spend a lot of money. I think Leno's been a really good signing, actually.
Yeah, he's a good keeper. They need a few more signings in the summer for Emery. They need to back the manager. There's still probably going to be fans there that aren't convinced on Emery, but I think he's a good manager. And if they win the Europa League, they have Champions League football next season. That would have been the target. So if they do win the Europa League, I'd say it's been a successful season for them.
Yeah.
But if not, probably just short of it. But next season, I would probably expect them to get top 4. That's really it for me, to be honest, for my predictions. I don't know if you guys
put them up in mid-table.
Oh, yeah.
Just based on
they've spent 100 mil, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, let me just double check mine. I think I had Bournemouth going down, which I obviously got wrong.
Yeah.
I had Watford 16th, so that was quite far off, and I had Fulham 12th. But I think Fulham was everybody's everybody had Fulham higher up than they were.
It also looked, we said they had spent 100 million, but we were looking more at Wolves at saying, like, look, they look like they've wasted a lot of money, actually, not Fulham. Whereas I thought Fulham had spent a lot of good money on players.
I thought they'd done the better business of the two coming up.
Yeah, I thought there were a few signings like Schürrle, for example, where I thought, and they signed Mitrovic permanently. I thought they had enough, and I think they still do have enough to stay up. I think it was just mismanagement, and there were a lot of rubbish signings they signed in from France.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Guiza.
Yeah, like who's it? Their top, their highest transfer.
Seri.
No,
Was it
no,
the
there
midfielder?
was. I forgot.
I think Anguissa was there.
Yeah, and he wasn't. And a lot of them weren't even making the squad. They had
Nah.
their same. They spent 100 million, and their squad was almost the exact same than it was in the Championship.
Mm.
I think the problem was during sort of mid-season was that a lot of the core of the side that had come up, like Kearney, Sessegnon, they weren't playing. When you come up, you need that core, the core of that squad with a few good players around them to add quality to the side, and they didn't do that.
Who do you think this season would be disappointed with how they've done, but next season they'll probably be aiming to do a little bit better?
Burnley?
You don't think it's been a successful season for Burnley, just avoiding the drop? Would that not be
They
the...
came seventh
I mean, off the back
season
of their
before.
last season, I guess you could argue
Yeah.
That was a huge overachievement, though.
It
Yeah,
was. I remember
definitely.
saying it was an overachievement during our podcast, but I feel like you should always try to not better a season, because obviously it's difficult for Burnley to better that season. But
Yeah.
I expected them to come a tiny bit higher up, do better in the Europa League. I thought when you work so hard to get into the Europa League that you then go and put a team of kids out in the first few qualifying rounds. I don't see the point of that, to be honest.
A strange one I thought, I think is a bit harsh, the criticism he's got, is Sarri from Chelsea. He's got a top 4 finish for him. He's in a Europa League final, and still a lot of the fans want him out. Do you understand why that is?
That's just Chelsea. Chelsea, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Chelsea,
It's a sense of entitlement.
yeah, there's a sense of entitlement that if they're not challenging for the Champions League and Premier League every single season, they want the next manager in. They feel entitled to trophies, which, I mean, is completely unreasonable considering they're just an older Man City at this point. They just had money come in before Man City did.
I think a lot of Chelsea fans as well see that their young players are coming through now. They see the likes of Man City playing Foden. They see the likes of Liverpool playing Alexander-Arnold. Chelsea, obviously, Sarri wasn't really playing Hudson-Odoi, even though he was ready to play at that time. We found that out later in the season. Yeah, exactly. And his treatment of their younger players hasn't been brilliant.
To be honest, like, I can understand some criticism towards Sarri because he hasn't used Kante the best. He's obsessed with Jorginho, who's to some extent been a flop. That I can understand the frustration that you've got, especially around Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek. I mean, week in, week out, they're begging for him to put them in the starting lineup, and he doesn't want to, and he plays Kante out of position. But I can understand there's a frustration there, and Carlo Ancelotti said the problem with Sarri is he tries to score after 35 passes, but statistically, you score most of your goals after 3 to 7 passes. It's unnatural to pass. It's just passing for the sake of passing, and some Chelsea fans have said that it's just mind-numbingly passing it to the side and not actually moving, just sort of passing for the stats.
Yeah.
I get so bored watching Chelsea sometimes.
I get bored watching Man City, to be honest.
And I suppose if that was my team and I saw the likes of Man City and Liverpool playing such good football, attacking football, like Jacob said, trying to just not passing for the sake of passing, I'd be looking at my own team and thinking, why are we not doing that?
Yeah.
They haven't even had a good striker. Well, they had Morata, and he was a failure. And they brought in Higuain. And
Well, you got to
done
think,
alright.
if they bring in a top striker, like if they had Diego Costa back or something, would they be challenging a lot higher? Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably
Because, I
would.
mean, Hazard's got the whole team on his back at the moment. It
Yeah,
looks
he
like he
could
might
carry
be
the
off
whole
to
team.
Madrid. So.
Yeah. Another sort of up and down season for one of the clubs was Manchester United. They got rid of Mourinho halfway through. They brought in Solskjaer, who's going to be manager for next season. Do you think that was the right move for Manchester United to do that?
It was the right move to bring in Solskjaer for a bit. They announced his management too early, though.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done it when they did
That's
it.
something I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Talk about it then.
All
Go
right.
on.
All right, then.
Bring it on.
I think with the Manchester United board, it's just been absolutely woeful since Sir Alex Ferguson left. They've almost done nothing right. Terrible appointment after terrible appointment after terrible appointment. Terrible signings. Almost everything has gone wrong for them. They've done nothing right. So I think they got Solskjaer in. Oh, he started winning. They've finally done something right after 7 years or whatever it is, 6-7 years. So I think they got all giddy with themselves. Oh, they've finally done something right. And they're like, oh, we'll hand him a contract. Stupid. Why?
I mean, I'll tell you what.
Why?
When,
No. But why would they hand him a contract then? Why not wait 2 or 3 months? Because
People
right now they might change their mind.
Remember what everyone was saying though at the time. It's like, oh, Solskjaer, they have to give him a contract at the moment. That was what the talk was all about. It's like they
Yeah.
have to give him a contract.
Well, everyone was
So
like,
they bowed
give him a
into the
contract
pressure.
at the end of the season, yeah.
It's
But
like-
giving it them, it was just... unless there
what's
was
the
some sort of
difference?
clause... Because now they're looking back and they're thinking... I won't swear, but they're thinking something where...
Fuck it.
Swore.
You just
No,
swore.
no, we'll beat that out. But I think with them, it's sort of like they hired Solskjaer, and I think they're all giddy. Oh yeah, we've done something right. Look at us. We've finally done our job correctly. And then they're thinking, oh, we've cocked it up here.
I don't think it's a bad decision to make him.
It was
I
an
don't think it was
impulsive
a-
decision,
It
wasn't
was
it?
It was too
impulsive.
impulsive.
It was after the PSG game, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do any worse."
Yeah,
than that,
I was
any
just
better
thinking
than
at that point, everyone's like, "You got to give him the job," but maybe at the end of the season, because seeing how he did after that, a lot of Man United fans like yourself thinking, "Could we have brought someone better in? Could we have persuaded Zidane or Pochettino?"
Everyone was saying
Allegri's gone
Pochettino.
now.
There's a lot of better managers out there than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Everyone was saying
That's a fact.
Pochettino at the time. I didn't actually think Pochettino was the greatest one to bring in.
Why?
Better than
I-
Solskjaer,
Yeah, but I mean,
surely.
You
Pochettino
don't
is
know
one
that.
of the best managers
You don't know that.
in the world.
Pochettino has done a lot for Southampton, a lot at Espanyol, a lot at Tottenham. Solskjaer's won the Norwegian League with Molde.
it's a different job going to Man United, though.
It is a different
Look,
job.
Mourinho
but
went there, and
you
for me, had
how
some
many
success.
people on this planet are going to say Solskjaer's a better manager than Pochettino?
No one, because he doesn't have the experience. But
Solskjaer's
With-
been
with
around
this-
a long time, to be
with
fair.
this United squad,
He's been a
that we
manager
have
since about
currently,
2013.
you'd have to flip and bring in. I mean, no, not to, I know you don't like it, but someone like Jurgen Klopp might do a better job.
No,
than
no,
that,
I
but-
think maybe my manager of the season, Jurgen Klopp.
I think also you look
Yeah.
at
Wow,
Sorry, am I?
Jacob, are you
Yeah.
alright?
What's going on?
I don't know if it's the weather or what. I'm feeling crazy.
you look at potential signings for Manchester United as well, and you look they want a right back. They've been linked with Aaron.
so
They've
many.
been linked.
Oh,
with
they need to
Aaron
rebuild,
Wan-Bissaka.
don't they? Yeah.
No, but
But
they-
the thing
I
is,
don't know-
the point I was going to make was the fact that would Aaron Wan-Bissaka prefer a season under the experience of Roy Hodgson, who's managed some of the biggest clubs, nations in the world. He'd rather have that year developing under Roy Hodgson than going to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think.
Do you think?
Yeah,
As opposed to playing for Manchester United?
yeah. I think he's
Regardless
Regardless of the manager.
I wonder
his
if-
development and
I wonder
other
if
young
sort of
players'
feelings have
development is
changed.
better served under other managers than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Well, I wonder if like sort of the feeling towards of it's changed because I mean we had Fabian Delph, we had Jack Rodwell, we had Scott Sinclair all going to Man City the first chance they had when they were young,
Yeah.
up and coming English players, and it didn't really work out for any of them except for Delph, and even Delph struggles for a
As
game.
soon as they come on the scene, they shouldn't go straight.
But
to
like
the
even
club.
Ryan Sessegnon last season, everyone's saying, "Oh, is he going to go Spurs? Is he going to go Manchester United?" And he ended up staying. And I think that was arguably the right decision. I mean, he's had a poor season to be
Yeah.
fair to him, but you've got to think like I think that he's probably learned so much from this season than he would have done sitting on the bench at Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you think, Alex, that what would Solskjaer and Manchester United's target for next season be?
I mean, the way it is right now, like
What is
their biggest priority, especially over the summer, is just to bring in players.
what specific players?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends who they keep. I've seen all this stuff on the news. Like, if you keep in Pogba, that's like one of the main attractions to get new players in.
Would you keep Pogba?
It's a bit of a sticky one. I don't know. Obviously, he's a good player. But
He's more than a good player.
yeah,
He's
he's
fantastic
a
player.
fantastic player.
He's a good player when he wants to be.
Yeah, well, exactly when he wants
so
to
he's a
be.
good
and
player then. That's the point. He's
Do you
like-
think it's
Yeah,
worth
but his
Man U
attitude-
keeping him?
I'm not
Because
sure.
it's sort of like, oh, he wakes up in the morning, he's like, do I want to play
with
well
that
today?
attitude that he's not right for United.
I don't know. I'll see.
But target next season is, I reckon, go for top 4. And
That seems to have been the
Carabao
aim
Cup.
for the last 7 years. Is go for the top 4.
Yeah,
go
but I
for
mean, we're not
Top
going
four
to
rebuild,
win. We're not going to
start
win the
again.
league at the moment, are we?
They were now
United are nowhere near Liverpool and City.
Mm.
You know, we're obviously not going to go for the league in the next year or two.
There are now 6 teams that are going for the top 4. Plus, you always get one that always comes in and sort of challenges for half
Yeah.
the season. I think Manchester United's aim should be to win the league, at least finish in the top 2.
Yeah, but that's
I
always
don't
the
think
aim.
it should.
They're not
to
going
win
to
the league.
penetrate the top
But
two.
no, they're not.
But
going to break
that's
into
what.
that.
But that's what Manchester United should be about. They should be appointing a manager that wants to win the league, wants to make.
They
big
should be,
signings.
but they're
They
not
should
right
be,
now.
but They're not
Well,
exactly.
that's what I was
exactly.
saying
That's
to
what-
Alex
that's so
before. I was like,
confusing.
what sort of commentary is this on the famous Manchester United that they're happy to finish 4th?
Yeah.
Like Sir Alex Ferguson would. I was going to say roll over in his grave, but he's not dead yet. But like, he imagine like.
Squirming in the
But
seat.
imagine Manchester United. If you told me 20 years ago Manchester United are going to be aiming for 4th, I would just laugh in your face.
I mean, that's
not
just the
that's
sad
not
reality.
Manchester.
It's the sad
I know,
reality
but that's
of
what I mean.
the
It's a
times that
sad
we're in
commentary
right
on
now.
the demise of Manchester United over the last 10
Might
years.
not be sad for some other people, but it is a sad reality. That's all we can go for.
I think it tells teams not to take things for granted because
We need-
in the
Yeah.
span of 5 years
Look, the
everything
main
can
thing is
change.
a massive squad overhaul was needed. What the board are doing, deciding to give Young an extension on his contract and make him captain next season, I don't know what is going on there. That is ridiculous.
You just need
How do
a
they not- how
breath
do they
of
not
fresh.
see?
The entire thing from the top to the bottom just needs to be
The
cleared out.
fence needs
Manchester
going.
United.
Smalling and Jones epitomise everything that is wrong with the club. Just get them out. Bring in actual capable defenders, and keep players like Rashford, Martial, because they're actually good and they're still young. Pogba, okay, he can stay. Lingard needs to go. He's just
Lingard?
Really? Lingard is not good.
Some very strong
really
opinions from a
Is he?
Liverpool fan. here.
Lingard is not good.
I don't like
I'm not a
Lingard.
fan, right?
I mean, I saw a stat the other day. Adam
he's
Johnson
not.
has more goals and assists
Yeah.
from the time he started playing than
Lingard
Lingard does now.
had like one half decent season last year, and this season he's done nothing.
Ryan Fraser's
He's a
got
key
more
player
assists
for
this year than Lingard's ever recorded.
Yeah.
He breaks.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Manchester
I think
United.
Lingard's a good player, but is he Manchester United quality? I don't
No.
know.
He's that's why everybody keeps thinking he's young, because you look at him and you think, yeah, he's got potential and he might get there someday. But what, he's already like
I think
26,
people,
27.
I think people think Lingard's young because he came through quite late. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't a Manchester United starter until he was about 23, 24.
Exactly. He was always on the bench.
But he was always like not Manchester United. Alex Ferguson always said he was going to be a late developer. And to be fair, like Lingard at the World Cup had some really good performances, and he
Yeah.
had like against Watford last season. He is a good player, but
What, that
Worth-
game that we
worth
watched in
keeping
this year?
around. Because not every single player in your squad is going to be world class. You need players
yeah,
like Lingard
I
to
understand
come off
that. But
and
I feel
give
like
a
with
bit of
Manchester
flair.
United, it's just all like it's just stuck in the past.
But
You
retracting
know, it's
on
just
my
got.
statement.
You need a palate cleanser. You know,
Mm.
you need a sorbet. You don't need Lingard and Pogba and
maybe-
Jones and Smalling.
Maybe the club needs some players stuck around from the glory days to.
Well,
bring
that's
that-
Lingard
bring that
that's
experience
what
into
we
the-
thought about Chelsea. That's what we thought about Arsenal. That's what we thought about all these teams that are challenging. And we're sort of like, look at Liverpool. They've almost cleared out. No more Carragher. No more Gerrard. No more.
I say Lingard
Maybe
is
like,
like,
it's a new team
Mm.
and they're fresh and they're ready and they're pushing for
You've
the
got
title.
Jordan Henderson as captain. He's
Yeah.
still there.
True.
He's the leader in the dressing room.
I know,
He's the
but-
one bringing that experience into the players. He's learnt off the likes
9 out of
Gerrard and
11 of
Carragher.
them have been signed in the last 4 seasons.
Lingard's
You've still
not
got
a
that
leader,
one or
just-
two. You've still
Yeah,
got the one or two. who are
I'm not
constant.
saying every single player should be signed this season. They should sign 25 players this summer. But I'm just saying a majority of it needs a clean out, and like especially more at the top than anything else.
Definitely.
Because Manchester United has got a bad taste in the mouth at the moment.
They didn't even have, what is it, a director of sport or what's
Football,
that?
yeah.
Director of football.
Well, they're looking at bringing in a former player for that.
But wasn't it Ferdinand they were looking at?
Yeah,
Darren Fletcher as well.
Darren Fletcher.
That
Yeah,
would be good. I mean, most
You
clubs
think that'd be
have that.
good?
To be honest, just because you're a player doesn't mean you know how to
I don't
operate a
think that
football
would be
club.
good. Yeah.
No, but look,
why not
United's-
bring in a top class director of football that knows how to operate a club
You
rather
need-
than
you need
someone?
someone
you can't
who
just
knows-
bring the band back and it all come together.
You need someone who knows how to operate that specific
He's stuck
club.
in 2009.
Yeah.
Might as well appoint Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Please.
Which is basically what they've done with Solskjaer. It sounds like Ferguson's always doing the team talk. He's always giving this. speech, he's
Exactly.
always giving
In the
that
dressing
speech.
room.
Maybe it's what's needed. Just keep him there until he dies. He'll die at Old Trafford.
So all I wanted to add on my little Liverpool Man City rant is that Liverpool did phenomenal, but if you want to beat a team like Man City, you need to be almost flawless, and they weren't for that month. And it's just a criticism that 1 month that if you want to be challenging against Man City,
Yeah, but
that's the
City-
harsh
City
reality.
weren't
That's the
flawless
harsh.
in December.
I know Man City weren't flawless,
You
but I
can't
mean if
criticise
you
someone
want.
for not being flawless.
They finished 1 point behind.
All I'm
No
saying
team is flawless.
Okay, let me just say this. I'm
Jacob,
standing
come on.
up. Let me just say this. With Liverpool, I feel really, really bad for them because I mean, the football they played, they're one of like some people saying they're one of the greatest Premier League sides since the Premier League era, pretty much, and I agree with that
would
to some
agree.
extent. But I'm just saying, if you want to beat Man City, you need to be on the top of your game. And that month was, I mean, I know Man City let it slip a little bit, but then Man City went and won 14 games in a row or
So
something.
did Liverpool.
Liverpool were
Yeah.
3 points off.
Liverpool
No,
did exactly the same thing.
Then how come Liverpool didn't finish top then?
Because
If
they
you
had
wanna-
one less
If
point.
you want to win the
Insane.
title against Man City, you like Liverpool were excellent. You've got to be above that to be Man City, and that's why they finished second. If they were above that, they would have finished top.
Why is that a criticism of City? Why is that a criticism of Liverpool rather than praise
No,
of City?
but it's more that everyone's like, oh yeah, Liverpool, and I'm in this boat as well. I'm in the boat where I'm thinking Liverpool. I feel bad for them. If that was West Ham,
I don't feel bad for
like
him.
hey, I can be neutral. Yeah, I don't let all my opinions
You
affect.
said Klopp was manager of the season for you.
Yeah, because the way they turned around. I mean, last year Liverpool, first half of the season, we went and remember the West Ham Liverpool
Yeah.
game. There was rumours of Liverpool fans wanting Klopp out, and then two Champions League finals later in a week time or whatever. Klopp has turned it around, and although that is from a lot of major signings, he's made them a good team to a phenomenal team competing with Man City, which we didn't know. Last season, we were here this time last season saying, I wonder if any team's going to come up and challenge City. This could be a 10-year domination of Manchester City.
They finished on below like 75 points for the last 10 years nearly, and then they got 97 points this season.
Yeah.
I think personally Liverpool and City should be separated. In fact, you don't compare them. They've just both been amazing.
I think they both have been amazing, but all I'm saying is everyone's saying, Liverpool, and like there's been Liverpool fans online saying they should share the trophy and stuff. Like, yeah, you're hard done by, but at the end of the day,
they're idiots.
This is Man City. This is the harsh reality of Manchester City.
Right, we're going to move on to our end of season awards that we've picked out. First one, an obvious one, probably goal of the season. I know what Sam's going to say. The goal of the season.
The best individual goal of this season was Andros Townsend.
Yep, agreed.
But I think a goal is about the moment, sort of celebrations, the feeling that you will feel. That's what football's about, is the feeling and the emotion. And for that reason, I can see why people would say Vincent Kompany's goal against Leicester, because of the emotion. We were in the pub that night and we've all got up screaming and we were all like cheering for it.
Is this the Premier League?
Because it's a great
Yes.
moment.
No, I think it should be based on the technical aspect when you're choosing a goal of the season. I don't think that should come into it.
The goal of the season, and a goal means so much more than just the ball hitting the back of the net in a certain way. It's the context around it, and like Vincent Kompany, Manchester City legend, his last ever goal for the club.
So
Pretty
would you
much-
give
it's a
Aguero
fantastic goal.
goal of the season
It wasn't-
in that season?
No, because that was basically a tap-in, wasn't it?
But that was a moment.
I would
But
argue it could be goal of the season.
Kompany's goal was a fantastic goal, an unbelievable swerving strike.
But it
off
wasn't the
bar
best
and
goal
in.
of the season.
No, it wasn't. But I think
This isn't best goal of the season. This is goal of the season.
Yeah.
The goal of the season was Vincent Kompany against Leicester. The best goal of the season was Andros Townsend.
If we had a moment of the season,
Moment of the
category,
season
that
would be
Vincent Kompany.
would be Kompany.
Moment of the season, 100% Kompany.
Goal
yeah.
of the season
It's
is based on the
Andros Townsend.
technical aspect of a goal, in my opinion,
Yeah, but I just think
which is
football's-
Townsend.
That
Yeah,
technique,
that's one.
Yeah,
so I
that
think
just needs to be
I think we should
clarified.
do what people think. What Liverpool fans think when you give the trophy to both of them.
Right, we'll move on from that. Next
Get out of that
one,
one.
best manager of the season.
Klopp for keeping that
Yeah, he kept
going. I don't want to call it a title race. I didn't call it a title race
Yep.
earlier, but
And
for keeping
Champions League.
keeping it going. 2 Champions Leagues in a row. Pochettino as well comes into it for me for not making a sign in, but still having the season
Top
that
4
Tottenham
round.
have had.
I'd like
Champions League
to
final.
argue for I don't know how to say his name. Nuno Espinino. What's his name?
Nuno Espirito Santo.
Santo,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Wolves manager.
Yeah, he done
Done a brilliant job.
Yeah. He did what he was meant to.
I think
Well,
Klopp.
he came
Yeah,
seventh.
we all said
With
they
a
were going to finish
fantastic
7th
squad,
to
yeah.
10th. Yeah, they look at their squad. They were too good for the championship. I thought he's had a good season, but all these Wolves saying, like, "Oh, what amazing manager!" Like, I'm pretty sure you could have most managers in there, and you would have got promoted.
Most good
And you
managers
would have been in the top.
got Wolves in the top half, I think.
Yeah.
Look at what Wolves have done. Who they've beat this season. They beat Liverpool.
I think he's a great manager, but I think
They
a lot of
beat
people are
Chelsea.
like, "Oh, what a phenomenal
They beat
manager!"
Arsenal.
twice,
They beat
yeah.
United twice. They drew with Man City.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give
They've
them
done
credit,
fantastic.
but I agree with Sam that
They-
any good manager would have put them in the top half of the table.
They
this
would have.
season.
They would have finished even higher. They've lost to Palace once.
They've lost to Huddersfield
Lost
twice.
to Huddersfield
Oh, yeah.
twice. Drew with Everton on the opening day. That's a game that you'd look at. Wolves towards the end of the season win that.
Yeah, and Wolves only just beat West Ham with a West Ham mistake, 1-0.
Yeah.
It's still
Second
very
game of the
difficult to come into the Premier League.
I think they've done a great job.
It is,
And
I think
do
they've
as
done a
good as
great
they've
job,
done.
but I feel like there's a lot of arguments against him being manager of the season.
Yeah, he's not the best manager of the season. Next one, the worst manager of the season. This can be anyone that's been sacked or anyone now. Just the worst manager from this season.
Toss up between Ranieri and Mourinho.
I don't know.
Why
I think
Ranieri?
Ranieri's too harsh, to be fair.
That's harsh,
The
yeah.
Fulham squad
Is
is
it?
just awful.
It isn't though. I don't think. I think a good manager, given that whole season, keeps Fulham up quite comfortably. I mean, Ranieri completely changed.
But he had to try
completely
something,
changed
didn't
Fulham. He just needed to keep things simple there. Play the core of their squads. You look at any good manager who, I know the likes of Hughes, Pulis, they always get criticism for being these dinosaurs, but they always go into a club and keep them up because they keep things simple. They turn to the core of the squad that got them up, and they keep teams up fairly comfortably. Ranieri went in there, changed absolutely everything, and completely failed. And I think a lot of people letting Ranieri off just because of his feats with Leicester a few seasons ago. If he hadn't have done that, I think Ranieri would get a lot more criticism.
Yeah, I
last
definitely
season.
agree with that. My only sort of defence of Ranieri was he was on a team already destined for the drop. Almost like the way they
Scott
were.
Parker would have kept them up given a few more months.
Yeah, I know. Like Scott Parker did turn things around a lot better, but I'm just saying, like with them, and like Tim Ream, the centre back for Fulham, he said that there's a lot of players in the club who sort of didn't care, and it's sort of for me, I got a lot of QPR vibes around it, where the dressing room separated, a good squad, probably good enough to stay up, but just so dysfunctional that you need to clear it out.
It was a bad choice for him to go to Fulham.
I mean, it's not
He
all
should not have
Ranieri's
done
fault.
that.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously,
There's a lot of
recruitment
issues.
Obviously, was poor.
And there seemed to be a divide in the dressing room. Like team didn't work together as one, did they?
I know how you said Parker would probably have kept him up if he had the whole season, but when
Just
he
given a few more months.
when he came in, they were pretty much down.
Yeah.
They had no pressure. They were just playing their football. Do you not think that has a sort of impact on how he approached games?
Well, I feel like there is pressure. There's a pressure of not being a really terrible side that's getting stick on match a day every week. To be honest, I mean,
But there's
that
no
is
pressure of going down into
To be
the
fair,
championship
this
because they're
happens
already
quite
down.
a lot. When a team gets relegated, they do sometimes have a slight spike in form. Like even Huddersfield did
Yeah,
it
they
towards
start-
the
they
end.
start
Cardiff
playing a
did
little
it,
bit
maybe
more encouraging
Manchester
football, yeah.
United. It does sort of. It's a strange phenomenon, but it does sometimes happen when a team gets relegated.
But
they
there
play
wasn't
better.
that kind of pressure on Fulham at the start of the season. I don't think. I think people just expected them to stay up with a few points places above the relegation
Yeah,
zone.
true, I agree. Well, I mean, Fulham. Some people were saying Fulham were going to finish higher than Wolves this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them, but some people were saying that. So I feel like there was pressure, but it's just I don't know what it is, but it's just the way it is. Some teams perform better once they're already relegated.
As for Mourinho, what were our thoughts on Mourinho this season? Do you
He-
think
he
it
got
was
what he
his
got,
fault,
what he
or was it what he's now saying is the truth's coming out and the squad's shown that actually it's the players that have been the issue at the club?
It's-
There's more to it than just the manager.
It's a bit of both, definitely, because Mourinho did not help himself at the start of the season. How moody he was, and he also, I can't remember a specific example. There was a time where he actually like slated his own players, wasn't there? In like a press conference, he downgraded
Done
them.
that constantly.
In,
throughout
yeah.
his career.
in pre-season, he said he hated having all the young players around because they're not good enough and they're a waste of time or
you
whatever.
need, you need
something
to
like
create
that.
a positive atmosphere around your squad.
That's not what
Klopp
Mourinho's ever
does.
been around.
Well, exactly, but he's still got results from the way he's done it. But at United, he was especially
He was
more moody
he was
than he has been
more
before.
he was more miserable than he's ever been before, and I think there's an argument for him to be worst manager this season. But I mean, like you said, we have seen Manchester United just aren't good enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything before up until his sacking, it was just agonising. Not even being a fan of Manchester United, just watching it just agonising because it's like just get him out because everybody's miserable.
I think there are worse managers who have made the best of similar situations.
Yeah.
I don't think the whole point of being a manager. I know Mourinho hates all this kind of like head coach stuff. He prefers the general's kind of manager term for someone who leads the team, and he didn't manage the players well enough. He's brought in players that obviously he thinks have poor attitude. A lot of those signings that he was slating were his signings.
Yeah.
And if he now thinks that they now have a poor attitude or whatever, that's on him.
A lot of the time when it weren't going right for him at Manchester United, he would point out the fact of how many league titles he's won. It was all about how
The
successful he's been. Whereas actually, he should have been focusing on actually trying to get his squad together and improve it.
He's
'Cause-
just a weird man, isn't he?
To win another title, and then
Yeah.
you can shout about four.
Well, the second
Exactly.
the second the going gets tough, Mourinho does not turn it around. Like Mourinho's not a Sam Allardyce. Mourinho's not someone who's going to go in there, take the reins, and change the football club.
Yeah.
When things are going worse, Mourinho will make sure they go even worse the week after.
But
like
when-
he never tries to cheer things up. The second there's a slight adversity,
and
he
then
just
he'll
jumps
get,
on
He'll
it.
get a result like the Juventus win that gives him a few extra weeks.
And the
Yeah.
Newcastle game,
Exactly.
we're still 2-0 down in that game anyway, at home.
Okay, let's move on. The most overrated team of this season.
Overrated. I would argue Watford. Because,
Mhm.
I mean, we've all said Watford got to the FA Cup final. They played some good football. I mean, they lost 6-0, but they had a couple chances before the flood of goals came in. But, I mean, like, look at, like, we all predicted Watford to finish low. And in the end, we were saying, oh, they were pushing top 7 for a while. They're pushing top 6 for a little while. What did they finish in the end? 15th or something? Like, the way we're talking about them, you thought they finished top half of the table. Like, they only were a point or two better off than Crystal Palace, yet nobody's given Crystal Palace any sort of credit.
They had a strong start to the season, didn't they? Like the first 6 or 7
Yeah,
games.
that's what I mean. I feel like everyone saw that and was like, oh, Watford. But it's like, well, look where they finished. I still think they had a good season. But the way everyone's talking about them, I think everyone has talked them up a little bit too
Mhm.
much.
I'm actually tempted to go for Huddersfield as most overrated team because I think 16 points flat.
Slightly harsh.
That's all I've got to say about that one.
Underrated team of the season? Do you think there's been a team that's been
I would
underrated?
argue Palace, maybe. Like I said, they finished so close to Watford. Yeah, everyone talks about Watford, nobody talks about Palace.
Yeah, I think
And I mean, that might just be one.
I think Everton have been quite underrated
Everton
this
have
season.
kind of gone under the radar.
They were quite poor, but this second half of the season, they've been brilliant. They've
got a good few results.
smashed Man U. They drew with
Arsenal.
Liverpool. They beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good
Uh,
run after Christmas.
Yeah, they when they came and beat us 2-0 at London Stadium, I thought they were
Yeah.
fantastic. I thought they were a brilliant team.
Yeah.
So
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
they've
happy
just
to
been
go with that.
overshadowed by Wolves and Watford,
yeah,
to be honest.
yeah, exactly. But they still managed to finish 8th.
What about Leicester?
Leicester, I almost wanted to say they're the most overrated this
I was
season.
going to say
Most
overrated. Yeah,
overrated.
I don't.
Yeah. Like when they came to the London Stadium, I was worried. I was thinking, oh, they're such a good side. They're going to tear us apart. They're so much better than us. They showed up and they weren't even that good.
That was
I
when
sort of-
Brendan Rodgers was appointed as
Yeah,
well.
that was after Brendan Rodgers was appointed. I feel like there's a lot of players in there who have a lot of hype around them, but there's not a lot.
I think they have a good squad.
There's-
I think
That's
they've got.
good,
I
yeah.
think they've got a good
team.
squad. I'll put that. They've got a really, really good squad, but as good as everyone thinks, no.
I think our 1-0 win over them was the first time in about 2 years where we'd won without Zaha.
Mm.
And then Palace's win at the King Power was probably the easiest game I've
Was that
seen
4-1
Palace.
or-
Yeah, 4-1.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think 4-1 flattered them as well at the time, and that
Was
was
that this season?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was the easiest
I remember
win I've seen Palace have for quite a long time since 5-0 against Leicester the previous season.
Yeah, but what I will say is Brendan Rodgers is their manager now. I think he's a really good manager.
Yeah, they'll do well
so
this
if
season.
they have a good summer, they got some good players there. That they'll be challenging that top 7 spot. Let's move on to transfers. Worst transfer of the season. It's a bit difficult to judge, but
Got to be one of Fulham's. Seri. I mean, you could take your pick at Fulham.
yeah,
Fred.
there's probably a handful of
Fred
players
from
you could pick
Manchester
for that
United might have to be up there just because of the.
one. The hype around him
I mean,
at the
the
start as
hype
well.
and how much was it in the end? 57?
52, I
Oh yeah, that's a
52.
shout, Fred. Actually, yes.
Yeah, like the amount of money they spent on him and how he's done absolutely nothing at all. Like that's would be my justification. But yeah, like you said, any of Fulham's signings
Yeah.
could easily be up there as well.
Best signing, in your guys' opinion?
I'd say Alisson. The way he's rounded out Liverpool. Like I don't think Liverpool would have been as successful if they had Mignolet or Karius in goal. So I think
Interesting.
I think Van Dijk was a huge step up, and I think Alisson's the icing on the cake.
It's really cemented that defensive.
Yeah,
line.
that's what I would say. Just because it's sort of taken them from 98 to 99.
Okay. Coming away from like the teams, best pundit of the season. There's been arguments for this one.
I do like listening to Jermaine Genius.
Oh,
That's not very
oh,
Sammy.
Sam. Why?
I
Please.
just think he
Have you heard him on Spurs
just-
commentary?
Yeah, but I think that's the way commentary's going now. Is you have a kind of partisan feel to it, and it's not going to please people. So, I think he brings a lot of open-mindedness to the game. And
In
it's
what
not,
sense?
It's a difficult way to describe it. It's just I feel like he's able to analyse anything positively, whereas you get you get the old school lot who are very negative about absolutely everything, and it drains you listening to it.
Yeah. Who's the BT Sport commentator? The one that does it with Jermaine Genius.
Oh, I don't know. What, him? Is he your pick?
Yeah, he's my pick. Yeah.
Why, Alex? And anonymous 1.2. What is it? Go on.
He done the-
Why is he your pick?
He done the Champions League games and he added a bit of bit of.
Oh, who's the
Emotion to
commentator? Oh, but he's not. It's not really pundit. That's
Drury.
commentary. Yeah, Peter Drury.
I think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
I think that's the
fantastic.
one I'm on
He is
about.
brilliant.
likes
Yeah.
him.
He's the guy who shouted for the Spurs Ajax game.
And it's Drury.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
Drury,
what-
yeah,
Drury is
Drury's
good.
that.
That's
yeah,
what I'm on about.
he does really
I
good
quite like,
commentary. He's
Alex
best
Scott.
commentator.
Alex Scott. I'm a big
She's done a
Alex
good.
Scott
She's
fan.
been good this season. She's
With all the criticism, she's
Well,
Yeah.
To be fair, I like her because I think she's the only one who takes the job seriously, because it's the sad reality that because she's a woman, she has to try harder than
Yeah.
her male counterparts. Where you look at Paul Merson doesn't bother learning anything about team, but she knows that she. Well, he does it. I mean, he can't.
Have we got a worse pundit of the season? Like, Paul
yeah, it's
Merson.
coming up. No, I like Paul Merson. I don't
But
mind
like Paul Merson, I feel like he's a joker. Like even Chris Kamara, like it's funny to laugh at him, but you're thinking like you're getting paid thousands
He's
and
an
thousands of
absolute
pounds to
idiot.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
But like Alex Scott knows like it's the sad reality, because she's a woman. She has to try really, really hard to
To
keep
get everything
her position,
right, yeah.
which I respect and I admire, because she does have some interesting points from just research and actual effort that you don't get from other male pundits.
I'd agree with that, to be honest.
Worst.
Worst pundit?
I'm Paul Merson, man. He doesn't know. He doesn't
there's
know anything.
worse.
There's much worse than him.
Have
Like
you?
who?
What's his name? For Garth Crooks from BBC.
Oh,
Final
gee.
Scores. Just like I said earlier, just people who moan and be negative, but you want positive analysis. You want tactical analysis. You
To
want
some
people being
extent,
positive with constructive criticism. I feel like there's a lot of pundits, not just Garth Crooks, who aren't constructively critical of things. It's just, this is bad, that's terrible. I hate modern football.
Yeah.
People who dye their hair are the worst human beings ever. Those kind of people. It's grating. Your hair colour doesn't affect your performance. How you wear your socks, whether they're high up, whether they're low down, it just doesn't matter.
What's your take on Roy Keane then?
Roy Keane,
Would you say he's a good pundit or?
I'm not a big
He-
fan
he's
of
a-
Roy
I
Keane
like
because
Roy
I feel
Keane.
like he does anything for his own image. I feel like he tries to be harder than he actually is.
I think he just says it how it is, to be
I
honest.
think this is how it is to some
Yeah, he
extent, but
speaks
there's
the
some
truth.
stuff he says and I'm like, that's just a lie. Like there was something the other day saying he was gonna, if somebody walked into the change room doing this, he would have like punched him in the face. Like, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
You're
there's-
just trying to be a hard man.
There's
on
some
TV
things
in
he
front of
says
everyone.
that are ridiculous, but then there's other times, like after the Manchester United Man City game, Gary Neville was sat there trying to defend the defending for one of their goals, and Roy Keane just sat there and bluntly put it, you can't defend it, it's really poor.
I think he says how he is, but I think there's sometimes where he tries
There's-
to make himself feel like a
I
hard
think
man.
someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone wrote a really good piece that these pundits aren't really accepting that times move on, and they gave the example of, I think it was the one you were saying, where Shaw kind of backs off
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva's goal.
Yeah.
And that's what defending is these days. You get back and you get compact. You aren't necessarily finding players who are running out to the ball all the time now to close things down. That's not how football's played as much anymore, especially at the elite level. And it's more about being compact and as a team and not pressing randomly. It's organised pressing, like gegenpressing.
Yeah,
as
I would
Klopp
say there
puts
needs
it.
to be a new generation, a new wave of punditry, and like you said, there's a new trend that I don't like. That there's always one like former player commentating, like it'll be Jamie
Or a fan,
Carragher
yeah.
or Neville or someone or Genius, and it's frustrating because it feels like I'm just watching fan TV.
Sometimes though, I think Neville's actually quite good with United.
He's never
because-
biased, really.
I
because
like
he
Neville,
can-
to be fair.
He's more critical of
Critical.
United,
Yeah.
and he'll give praise where it's due.
Yeah.
I do like Neville as a pundit, but like he was just sort of an example where there's a lot of pundits now and they have some sort of relation to one of the teams, and more often than not it shows to some extent, and it's like I can go and listen to a West Ham fan commentate on the radio or something, or on a podcast like this, and it's like I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
it's just always biased and they've always got an agenda. And I guess you could say that's the thing, like Southampton Liverpool was the big game for Jamie Carragher, just screaming nonsense down the microphone.
Yeah.
And that's what people want, because more people would caring about Liverpool at that point than Southampton. And that's the thing, that we've got friends like Alex over here support whoever team on top, that you want that bigger team, which is why
You can have that, Alex.
well, you never get a player from Huddersfield
matter anymore.
commentating on them or anything, do you?
Nah,
It's always
yeah.
the top six. And
It's because no
I
one gives a
don't-
crap about Huddersfield.
People do though, don't they?
But
People-
Huddersfield-
you just
A
don't-
lot
you
of-
just
a
don't
lot of-
see him
a lot
because
of
nobody wants to
pundits
support
are
them unless
ex-players who are good at the game. You know what I mean? You know, Neville
But you
won
do
loads
get-
of stuff.
Yeah, I
So do you
understand
think
that.
Jamie Carragher shouting down a microphone every week
Is
is
justified.
good commentary and good punditry to
He
have?
makes it fairly interesting, I feel. And this is not me being
It annoys
biased.
me. Yeah, 'cause it's interesting for you because you like Liverpool. What if, say, Manchester United fans listen to that? You'd hate
Carragher
it.
and Neville, they work good together. I feel,
Oh, I
because
agree.
they
Them two,
contradict
when they're
each other
doing
all the time.
punditry, is good.
Yeah.
But when he's on commentary, that shouldn't happen.
know, yeah.
It's
I
annoying
know.
because I feel like I'm watching, like, if it was West Ham Liverpool, I feel like I'm watching the Liverpool show featuring West Ham.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see someone talk
Yeah.
about the game, not Liverpool. I want to see them
But
talk about the game.
To be fair, I think these broadcasters have to, or they know that there's that the
Yeah,
likes of
it's
Liverpool
the
are
way
a
it
bigger
is.
story.
Yeah,
They're going to
I
give
understand
more
that.
time to
It's just quite frustrating when
I
you
do, yeah.
don't care about that team as much.
Mm.
I do agree that Carragher shouldn't be commentating on Liverpool matches and Neville shouldn't be commentating on United matches, just because of the bias. Just get
But
someone
you
else
just
in
said
to-
it makes it more interesting.
No, I said it makes it more interesting when Carragher commentates.
I like people who
Yeah.
are more, they put their
Not
their
on-
balls on the line. They're like, this is the way it is, and they'll say things how it is, because you don't like players like commentators who are a bit on the fence about everything.
Yeah.
But you want people who talk about the game, not
Yeah.
just a team or not just a player.
Exactly. Last award of the show, the best match of this season.
Ooh.
It's a difficult one. There's
I
been
don't
some
know
good
if
ones.
It's difficult. I was saying to Alex, I haven't really researched too much, and I
No.
only really watch West Ham games week in week out.
I've got a nominee.
Well, just
Liverpool-
your personal best match of the season,
My
not
favourite
necessarily
match,
the best
The
one.
Man City Liverpool game where there's so much happened in that game. You had the
VAR.
Yeah, the company
Not the VAR,
tackle and Salah, the goal line technology.
Yeah, that was it.
The
Yeah,
goals
that was
in
great.
that game were good quality. It was just it was one of those games. It really lived up to the hype that it
Mhm.
got given.
In terms of entertainment, I'd go either Liverpool 4, Palace 3, or Wolves 4, Leicester 3. Those are very entertaining matches.
Yeah, probably agree with that, to be honest.
And we know that Alex didn't watch that Liverpool 4 Palace 3 game because he was at Eastbourne Town,
I was.
falling over fences.
Yes, I was. But I did watch the highlights.
Yeah, I
As I did
pretty
with
agree
Wolves
with
Leicester
Sam.
match.
I think like that was. I'd say personally, I'd probably say West Ham beating Manchester United 3-1.
Yeah.
Just because as a West Ham fan, it was nice to see. But from a neutral point of view, that Man City Liverpool game, it
Yeah.
lived up to the hype.
Agreed.
Can we have a worst match of the season?
Yeah.
Like Huddersfield versus Fulham in like the first part before
What was it?
Christmas.
I'm guessing it
That
was
was
0-0.
It was no, it was 1-0 to
Oh,
I think
That was the
Huddersfield.
game that you had to write a
and I had to
report
write a report on it.
Oh,
It's awful. Yeah, that's the only report I've done all year, by the way.
Oh,
Don't let
Oh, you're listening.
I could offer up many games at Selhurst for the worst game of the season, I think.
My personal worst game of the season wasn't in the Premier League. I went and watched QPR Stoke, and it was one of the worst 90 minutes of my whole entire life.
What was the score?
0-0. It was horrific. It was just like the worst games I've ever seen. With that and Sunderland against Blackburn in 2008, it was
Wow.
It's got a deep memory there.
Yeah.
PTSD.
yeah, I'm
was
still
the-
I wake up in the night. I wake up in the middle of the night in
Sam-
cold sweats thinking about Sam Allardyce. I can't deal with it.
The worst game that I watched live this season was Palace 0, Chelsea 1, where Kante scored about
Oh, I
6 minutes
remember
after half time, and it was neither team went through it. I think Chelsea had about 3 or 4 shots to Palace's 1 or 2.
Mm.
I don't think Palace mustered a shot on target, and it was kind of it told the story of Palace's season at that point, where nothing was happening. It was kind of petering out. I think that was for a lot of teams around that time as well.
Worst match I've probably personally seen is either Wolves away, we lost 3-0, didn't have a shot on target, or Cardiff away, we lost 2-0 and we had like 1 shot on target or something. So they were both fun away games to go to. But yeah, that's our awards. Right, guys, that's going to be the end of the podcast. Thank you all for listening. Before we go, I just want to get your guys' predictions for the Champions League final and Europa League final. So, Jacob, who do you think is going to be the winners of both of those games?
Liverpool and Arsenal.
Sam?
I really, really, really want to say Tottenham, and I'm going to stick with Tottenham.
I really, really don't want to say Tottenham.
I just think I won't go too into it, but I think something is telling me that Tottenham win that, but
Okay.
something was also telling me that Watford win the FA Cup final. So Liverpool win it.
Liverpool and Arsenal or Chelsea?
Arsenal.
Okay. Alex?
Chelsea will grind out a boring win on penalties, and Liverpool are going to win.
Brilliant.
Yep, Liverpool and Arsenal for me. As I said, thank you very much for listening today. Thank you, Jacob, Sam and Alex, for coming on.
No worries. Really enjoyed it.
We'll be back next week for another podcast. Until then, bye-bye.